And we are back with another episode of the Hockey Princess podcast. I am your host, the Hockey Princess. We have Chris, the old guy. Guys, we have more hockey to talk about. It's great. It's absolutely great. Just as a reminder, make sure to hit that like and subscribe on either Spotify, Apple Podcast, or YouTube, however you watch or listen to us ramble on a weekly basis. Sorry, 2-time weekly basis. And please make sure that if yes, Christy.
Please leave us a review.
Oh, yes, please leave us a review. Um, and if you are going to a game this season, be it NHL, AHL, ECHL with our friends in Indy, please wait for the whistle. Do not get up all the pucks and play. Do not try to return back to your seat while the game is going on. Please, please, please wait for a stoppage in play. That is all.
Yes. That's we'll see how much we have to do that. I'm really nervous
I'm going to
about
say that
tomorrow.
every week this entire season.
I'm thinking of making posters and then taping them to the wall where they walk up in our section. Just a thing that says wait for whistle. I'll decide Thursday if I need to start doing that.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. Let's get into the NHL world. Not a ton has happened this first week, just because it's very early in the season. We haven't had any injuries. Really, all of that happened during preseason, oddly enough. So it's been a little quiet this first couple of weeks. Everybody's having their home openers. Columbus had their home opener earlier this week. They did a very, very lovely tribute to Johnny Gaudreau. As well as the Florida Panthers partook in a tribute as well to him during Columbus's home opener. Chris, do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, it was pretty unbelievable. Crusty old guy does not get emotional. I got a tiny bit emotional, not to a crying stage or anything like that, because gosh darn it, I'm a man. But no, it was really well done. I suggest people YouTube it. The stuff that was done before the game at the puck drop was really cool. Also, all players skated around with a 13 Gaudreau jersey for warm-ups, which is something very cool. Also, something I just found out today, that the Panthers all got off the team bus to go into I can't remember the name of where Columbus plays.
Is it Nationwide Arena?
Huh?
Is it Nationwide Arena?
It could be a Nationwide Arena. That's what we're going to go with. So they all got off the bus with their purple Gatorades and their bag of Skittles, which is what Johnny Gaudreau would have before each game. Just extremely neat things is, I've told your listeners before, if you are new to this sport, these guys are a different breed. It's a very, very tight community. So there was a lot of really good stuff. I thought it was very well done by Columbus. I do know that Gaudreau's father did come out for a practice with Columbus also. A shout out to Jamie now, that just because there'll be some time passed, I suggest the Blackhawks at least do something to remember Johnny Gaudreau and their first meeting with Columbus. He was an important player. He was a very important American player. And just the way that they are family wise keeps on coming out, and it's it's awful. And at the end of the day, these guys are just human beings trying to work at their job and trying to raise a family just like all the rest of us.
Right.
So but yeah, if anybody hasn't seen it yet, I would Google it. It's some pretty neat stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, there really isn't too much in the rest of the NHL world right now, just because it's been pretty quiet. Everyone's had their first couple of games. There's definitely been some teams that have exceeded expectations with their first couple of games, and there's definitely some teams that have not had the greatest of starts. Utah Hockey Club being one that has very much exceeded expectations with the beginning of the season. Um, I would say that they've exceeded expectations.
I know, but I just wondering if any podcaster was really taken with that team and said they would take off this year.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm just wondering if a podcaster might have gone out on a limb and said that.
yeah. I believe that a certain crusty old guy did. This is also just a general reminder because the media has kind of been spinning the Utah Hockey Club. This is not a brand new team. These guys were in Arizona for years together. It makes sense that they are going to take off now because they are getting more pieces together and becoming a better team. Give Arizona the credit where it's due. This all just didn't magically happen, come together because they moved to Utah. Clayton Keller was still there in Arizona.
Yes, he was. And there's been a lot of wacky stuff on the internet about this because what I'm being told is this is an expansion team.
That's no.
They go under the critique of an expansion team. I don't know how, I don't know why, but that's where a lot of this confusion is coming because they are being recognized as an expansion team, but they were someplace else. I guess it has to do with the ownership transfer. That's why, because we've seen other teams move, but ownership has stayed. They've just left. They left Minnesota. They left Winnipeg. They left Hartford.
When they left Atlanta to go back to Winnipeg, did owners stay the same?
I believe so. And I think that's where some people are getting a little confused because the NHL is coming out and saying it's an expansion team.
This is not an expansion team. Give Arizona its credit. These guys were there in the Mullet Ice Arena. Give them credit.
Exactly. This is a team that has been around for a while with a lot of young talent, and has the opportunity to gel.
Yeah.
So I do not believe when the NHL says they're an expansion team. Nope, they're just a relocated team.
Exactly.
So
Some other teams, and this is a little petty, but I don't care. It's my show. I'm very just proud to say that the Chicago Blackhawks have secured their first win in regulation before the Nashville Predators this season. And no matter what happens with the rest of the year, gosh, that really feels great to say.
yeah, it really does. I mean, and there's two things that are setting up nicely. I'll stay on the Nashville thing first because if Mr. No Goals doesn't start stopping the puck, I can only imagine the no goals chance that'll be in every arena as he lets one in. Note to the Blackhawk fans is that's how we do it here. We become original with chants. We don't repeat the same shit year after year after year after year. No, that's not a thing to you, Smashville, because you occasionally smash cars like you're at a high school homecoming game. For the love of God. And the other one is the Colorado Avalanche do not have a goaltender that can stop a puck.
But you know who does have a goaltender that can stop the puck? That crusty old guy had way, way down in the division standings with our predictions, and that is your Winnipeg Jets still being undefeated so far.
Yes, but he is on both of my fantasy teams. Yeah, again, when Crusty guy was doing that, he already called himself stupid, and I would suggest Hockey Princess just chiming in on a weekly basis exactly how stupid I am.
All right. Christy, you got anything else on the NHL scope?
No, but I've got this really cool microphone. Look at this, people. It's red. It's a red microphone. Tried to use it last week, but I found out I had to use it with headphones that I had to plug in, or else I couldn't hear anything. So I hope I'm sounding a lot better to everyone. I'm actually trying to do more of a radio voice right now. I think it's probably coming across phenomenal.
All right, then.
Is
Moving
it getting a little creepy? A little too Barry White? What's going on?
moving on to our prospect report for this week. Guys, I'm going to run through kind of where our prospects are and the ones that we will be talking about the most. You know, the ones that are not in Chicago, they're not in Rockford, they're still in juniors or they're still in college. I'll go through the ones on where to find them. And this will be mainly, like I said, the ones that we'll talk about the most. So at University of Minnesota, we've got Oliver Moore, who's a forward, and Sam Renzel, who's a defenseman. Um, both of them should definitely take on a bigger role on that roster this year. They're already doing very great with the start of their season, but both of them are at University of Minnesota. University of North Dakota, we have one of Chris Yogai's favorites, which is Sasha Boisvert. This is his first year at University of North Dakota, already killing it. At Providence College, we have a couple of prospects. We have Tage Harding, Connor Kelly, and John Mustard. University of Minnesota Duluth, we have Dominic James and Adam Guyon. Let's see, at the Windsor Spitfires, another one of Christie's favorites. Put a spell on you, AJ Spellacy. Brantford Bulldogs, we've got Merrick Vanecker and Nick Lardis. Erie Otters, we've got Mark Misiak and Ty Henry. And then last but certainly not least, with the Sudbury Wolves, we have Alex Frond. Now let's get into what some of them did this past week.
Oh, okay. Then I'll be quiet.
Sam Renzel put up 1 goal on Friday and then an assist on Saturday. Oliver Moore with 1 assist on Friday's game. Dominic James with a goal and an assist for Friday. Same with Sasha, a goal and an assist on Saturday. And Sasha Boisvert's goal this past weekend, absolutely incredible. Highly recommend people going to watch that on YouTube. AJ Spellacy with a goal on Friday, 1 assist on Saturday. Misiak with 1 assist this past Saturday. Nick Lardis notching 2 goals and an assist this past weekend. And then Alex Frond with 1 assist on Friday. And then Adam Guyon started in net for both games for University of Minnesota Duluth. 1 win and 1 loss.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the Lardass had like another 3 goals in the week beforehand also. So he has been already on a tear.
Machine. Yeah, an absolute machine.
And, anytime we can say Lardass, goal by Lardass, I like it. And he could be one of those pieces that just ends up coming.
Big fan. Big fan. Like I said,
You're a big fan of Lardass?
I am. I'm a real big fan of any prospect that can score. And there'll definitely be some other prospects that will sprinkle in from time to time. As we talked about last year, we do have prospects in the Swedish and the Finnish professional league and in the KHL. They run significantly different than CHL. In college hockey, they don't get as much ice time, and their points are going to look a lot different because they don't get as much ice time. Like I said last year, this is not a cause for concern. They operate a lot differently than North American junior hockey.
That is correct.
All right. You got anything on our prospects?
No, the only thing I wanted to go over was Lardass. No, nothing really on anybody else. I would again tell your listeners, if you just sit there and look at the point production, there will be a difference between the point production if you're on a college team or if you're just in juniors. Juniors, it's a widespread. Usually if you're playing against bad clubs, people load up point wise, and it's just hard to field the team with 4 solid lines because you've got so many like tiny tots playing. That's it.
I think it also kind of depends on if you're playing college hockey, the division and the conference that you're in for that team. Like, I feel like the points when you're in like Big Ten versus like NCHC are also just gonna look different because of the teams that you're playing against on a consistent basis.
Yeah, they are, and it's just college season a little bit short, a good amount shorter. And if you're in a big time program, half of your games are usually against big time programs, so a little harder to put the puck in the net.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Guys, I've been so excited for this ever since Saturday because we talked about last week how we were going to Rockford. And guys, we went to Rockford and it was amazing. Absolutely amazing. Christy, do you want to talk about your time at Rockford?
I'd love to talk about my time at Rockford. The first thing that happened to me once I got to Rockford is they gave me a free shirt. That's what they did for me. They said, "Here, have a free shirt." And it's our third jersey that we'll be wearing tonight, the emblem. I won't get that tomorrow at the Chicago Blackhawks game. They won't be giving me anything.
No.
They might ask for more money from me. You never know. No, if you're talking game wise, first we can go even before the game. You can tell the Blackhawks have a big handle on this team now. They own the team. You can just tell things are done a little bit better. They're definitely throwing around some money, at least in Rockford. Things are well done. We had three knuckleheads behind us screaming and yelling the whole time. It was like almost that show Shorzy or Jersey or whatever the hell. Which I'm entertained with. They were a little stupid, but I was still very entertained. I like the yelling during a game. I'm down with it. You want me to go into the game also? I'd love
Yeah.
to. No?
Well, let me. That's cool.
Okay. It's your show.
I definitely agree. It was really nice beforehand. It was really nice to just see that place packed. I definitely think possibly this season it's a little bit more packed compared to past seasons. Um, but it was just nice to see that many people because I feel like sometimes we go during the middle of the season and it's absolutely dead, or it's like at 50% capacity. But it was really fun. I mean, I've talked on this show that I like going to Rockford. I like the vibe. Everybody's just very, very into it. We were watching warm ups, and the guys behind us were like, "Oh, look out for that 91!" I'm like, "Hell yeah!" I'm here to watch a different guy, but like, I love the love.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and I just wanted to also point out, hey, Soupy, next time you're walking through people, how about saying a little hi, how are you? You don't have to put your head down and run through everybody to get off to your little perch above all of us. It's not the way it is in the hockey world, Soupy. Why don't you say hello to a couple people? Okay, head up, Soupy. Hi, how you doing? Going to be a good year this year.
Speaking of things that we found out before or during the game, speaking of other players, Rockford Ice Hogs have their Ring of Honor, which has a couple of names up in the rafters. It's not like a number, well, it's kind of like a number retirement, but it's just a night to honor certain players in the Rockford Ice Hogs history. Corey Crawford was one of the notable ones from last year. This year, they announced that Brian Bickle will be a part of the Ring of Honor or the Ring of Honor this year. I believe his game is in February, I think. Uh, so that'll be nice. He is the only one this year. They did 3 last year, but I think it was just because it was their first year, and they'll
Right.
go one a year moving forward. But this will be very nice. Brian Bickle definitely, in my opinion, deserves a lot more credit than he's given, not only being a part of the Rockford Ice Hogs, but also just in the Chicago scope. He deserves more credit.
Oh, definitely, definitely. Got cut a little short by the disease and everything that kind of took away his game a little bit. But he's that big body that you just have to have come playoff time. Um, this is another thing that you can tell the Blackhawks have a complete handle on this franchise. Um, Number one, Corey had his number retired and put onto the Ring of Honor.
Okay.
He's the only one with the number retired.
Okay.
Brian won't. I don't believe Bix gets his number retired, but he goes into the Ring of Honor. And this is a feeling out for the Blackhawks. The Blackhawks will be doing something like this. I don't know when. They're at a conundrum of how to handle
The 2010 years.
Yes, to handle the cup years. Who gets their number retired? Who doesn't? And people on talk shows, podcasts like this are going to be able to split hairs going, well, if Brent Seabrook is, what about Nicholas Hjalmarsson? If Hossa is, what about Patrick Sharp? So their game plan will be some of them will, but a good amount of them will go through this Ring of Honor thing whenever the Blackhawks and Danny Wirtz decides they will start to recognize the cup teams again. I don't know when that will be. It won't be this year.
It won't be for a long time.
It probably won't be for next year. I don't know if that is still Kyle Beach fear or whatever. Plus, they want to distance themselves. This is Danny's team now. It's not Rocky's, and
it's Danny's team that we can't watch.
Yes, Danny's team that we can. So I think that they're going to work out some of the bugs in Rockford as far as this Ring of Honor thing. It's a perfect way to handle it because those cup teams got a lot of players that you're like, all right, if you're really thinking about a number retirement, maybe not, but gosh, we need something for them.
Right.
It's a dynasty team, so this will be a beautiful way to do it. So that's all I wanted to say on that.
Yeah. Getting into the game, guys, it was a great game. Rockford's going to be competitive, and it's amazing. Everyone was scoring goals, especially the best goal of the night from my favorite prospect, Sam Savoie, who not only scored, then circled back to get an encore, hugged Camesso, hugged all of his his friends, got a little bit more of an encore, and then went to the bench. It was incredible. I was very happy.
Yeah, it was a scene. It's definitely something you're going to get from that guy. As we talk a good amount on this show. Bring the team into the fight. That's a kid that's going to bring a team into the fight because those kind of reactions are definitely going to step up a physical attack from the opposing team. So your team's got to get in the fight because he's brought you in and being a dick. But you need players like that. Yeah, I really enjoyed the little bit of showboating and everything else that was going on. It was phenomenal. We got even more of it from Colton.
You want to talk about the definition of bringing your team into the fight. I know you didn't necessarily agree with it, nor the timing of it, but I think Colton, so for context for people who have not seen, Colton got kind of hit in the throat with a stick by a Griffins player. They started fighting, and then as he's getting thrown out of the game, he starts mouthing off to Sebastian Cosso, who is the Grand Rapids Griffins goaltender. And whether you agree with it or not, that moment is truly the definition of bringing your team into the fight.
Yeah. As I told you at the game, I didn't agree with it because you're already up. Colton has a history of getting hurt. I want him to pick and choose his battles better. I was thoroughly entertained with all of it. No doubt about it. I didn't think it was necessary. And with him, I just get a little leery. He has the ability to be a very good player and definitely fills a niche in this organization that they are lacking, which is a power forward. So I worry about his health. Um, but no, this is a team that is going to be cocky as all shit. A lot of it has to do with its opening day. You're playing against your biggest rivals.
Which the
Uh,
Grand Rapids Griffins knocked them out of the playoffs last year, so there's definitely some lingering hatred, especially for guys who were on that team the year prior. Um, but it was really, I thought everyone played great. We're going to be number one in the division. I'm calling it.
yeah, we'll see.
No, I'm
I
calling it. Asparov's not in net for Milwaukee anymore. If Grand Rapids still plays like this, I mean, Texas is still Texas at the end of the day. I'll still give them credit, but this could be good.
Oh, it could be. I was shocked at the amount of Detroit sucks chance at Rockford. We've seen the Griffins before there, and I haven't heard anything like that.
It was great.
Um, it was great. There was a lot of pumped up energy. This team ain't going to take a lot of shit. This team is fast. They have that pack mentality already. And there's a togetherness, that KD kept on preaching. They're all well.
You're
It,
seeing it.
I'm seeing it in Rockford. I'll give KD his props completely. It was really apparent, at least in game one. It's a long season. We'll see how the rest of it goes.
Well, and granted, I know it's only one game, but even during this one game, I definitely noticed the difference between even the end of last year and the beginning of this year. Where last year it felt like it was a lot of veterans hand holding the few younger kids. Where now it feels like those younger kids, maybe there's a few that still need a little bit of hand holding because due to like different situations, but there's a lot of guys that can actually hold their own, and to see that jump in a year, phenomenal.
Yeah, no doubt about it. No, this is the kids' team now. But for your listeners, also something to remember is this is a developmental league, and what I mean by that is right now it might not give you the best chance to have Kevin Korchinski killing penalties, but he needs the work.
Yeah.
He needs to start to understand how to negate other teams' sticks and how to box out all weak points in Kevin Korchinski. He needs as much time as possible to start doing that. That's the work in Rockford. There was at least 3 times I saw him just wing the puck around the net, not around the net, around the boards to nowhere. That's what he's down there for, is to understand there's no more doing that.
Right.
Okay. If somebody's right next to you and you're going to get blown up, that's one thing. But
Right.
if you think you have the time, you have to be ready to make a play with that puck. And it might not always be for a win, but if I can get Kevin working towards that more,
That's huge.
I'll take a loss. So there's that give and take down there in Rockford, because I know the front office wants them to be good because they want to showcase that to everybody up here going, oh, here it is. It's all going to come together. But we need to develop certain aspects of players down there. Kevin's the biggest one, because if Kevin can play as an NH defense at NHL caliber, it's going to be huge for this team. I was also very impressed with NASCAR's game in his own zone, his defensive game. I came away very impressed, at least game one.
Yeah, me too. I definitely say the other one that I was very impressed with was your guy Paul Ludwinski. Definitely came out of the gate confident, strong with his game, and like I said in Rockford, he is that guy. He can be that guy. And the more that I watched him, and we've been saying this all off season, that is a true centerman to play center. And I'm excited.
Yeah, Probably not enough skill to be on your top, but could be a perfect third line center.
Hmm.
Um, Not big, but big enough, and his speed is going to give people fits. His speed on the forecheck will give people fits.
Yeah, I mean, he's not huge, but he definitely the size is. You know how like sometimes we look at the rock or the Chicago roster and we're like, this can't work because there's too many small guys on one line. I feel like he's not huge, but you put him on a line with a couple of those guys, and it definitely has the ability to balance out.
Uh, I think so. Or you put him with Savoy and one other person, and
Definitely.
he doesn't even need to be that big. Because of their attack speed, they're gonna drive people nuts because they won't be able to get out of their own end.
Well, that was
Um,
the thing that was just so magical to watch on Saturday. Savoy and Ledwinski together. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
yes,
It's
and
so annoying, but it's beautiful to watch.
yes, and we will be calling him hide and seeking Paul, which nobody will understand unless they are a replacements fan, and I'm sure nobody listening to this even knows who the replacements are. With that, you can carry on there, hockey personas. There's worthless, needless, crusty old guy information.
All right. Do you have any other thoughts and feelings about Rockford?
No, Comesso looked good. Um, Defensively, they
I
look solid.
good.
Yeah. Um, Even the Strand kid, I think is a good, solid player. So
Yeah,
they'll be fun. They're going to be fun.
yeah. Perfect. Let's get into Chicago, guys. We have a couple of games to talk about. We have some wins. We have mainly some losses, but most importantly, we won against Edmonton. If we're gonna have a win, it's gonna be against Edmonton.
That's right. Fuck Edmonton.
Yeah. Um, First game, Chicago versus Winnipeg. Chicago's up for 59 minutes. Arvid Soderblom was in net. I would definitely like to give Arvid Soderblom so much credit. Did not play great last year. Got a lot of hate last year. Of course, I didn't get to watch it. I just had to listen to it because I can't watch this team right now. Um, but he sounded great. Shout out to John and Troy for doing a great radio job. He sounded great. And then a minute happened. They let up a little bit. To quote Seth Jones, they played a good 59 minutes.
It's they pull the goaltender, they tie it up. Those kind of things happen. I sat there and watched the whole game, going, "Who the hell are these guys?" Um, I was completely shocked. Seth stated it after the game. He goes, head and shoulders above anything that he's ever witnessed since he's been here, as far as this team playing structure wise. Everybody was where they were supposed to be. It was a beautiful thing to watch. The forecheck was perfect. Um, they played like an NHL hockey team. It was it was phenomenal to watch, and it didn't stop there on this road trip. I mean, basically the other two games, same thing. It's an NHL team. The Winnipeg, you're playing against Connor Hellebuck.
Yeah.
Goals are hard to come by. But I thought they played phenomenal. It was unbelievable to watch that.
Yeah. Jumping to Edmonton, we got to listen for part of it, and then Crusty Old Guy and I pulled over to the side of the road to find a bar so we could watch the third period of this because, guys, we can't watch it yet. Um, I do have 3 stars for the little bit that I was able to watch. because it's my show and I can. Third star to silence all the haters and also to just make them really mad is Seth Jones, because I'm going to give that man as much appreciation this year as I can. Because gosh darn it, if I'm one of the two only people giving him credit, I will. Second star is going to be Tavo Teravainen because he looked very, very good with his goals. And first star, Peter Mrazek, because anytime you're playing against Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, you're going to get the number one star.
Yeah, from the listen and the watch at the end, again another phenomenal defensive effort, and their skill players delivered. The beacon of hope with a great goal. You know, uh, everybody's gonna have to be patient with the beacon. Everybody now starts to think, well, he should be McKinnon, he should be McDavid. He's never going to be either one of them.
He's
He
Connor Bedard. He's his own person.
He is, and he's not that fast. Those two are so lightning fast that they're able to create so much just because how fast that he doesn't have those kind of wheels. But he still has probably one of the top 5 shots in the game. The kid's going to be fine.
That was one thing during, I think it was during Winnipeg's game. I could be wrong, where they just constantly, all the media was just constantly focused on the face-off percentage and in particularly Connors. This is his second year. The kid's 19, and all of the other elite players that I feel like media really loves to compare him to, guys, they already had good players on their team. Maybe not a ton, but they definitely had one or two. He doesn't have a ton. He's a 19-year-old that's great, but otherwise the team is pretty bad. So his stats are going to look different. And also he's 19. It's fine.
Yeah, well, I mean, everybody liked to point out his plus minus last year. Well, he's +4 this year so far.
Yeah.
Um, Again, he might come 3 years from now, he might not be playing center.
And that's okay.
And that's okay also. And also for everybody with their whole face off, blah, blah. When the Avalanche won, they were like the third worst face off team in the league.
Right.
It's more important of when you win them as to how many you win them.
Yeah.
Which, again, the Blackhawks don't have. The Winnipeg game was definitive of that. You kept on icing the puck, but you had nobody to win a faceoff. So it ended up hurting you.
Right.
But besides that, Tavo with a good game. I mean, their star players looked pretty good. I mean, Hall looks good.
Yeah.
I understand that everybody's on Bertuzzi. I just tell your listeners that he started out real bad last year too in Toronto. Obviously, it's one of those things where it takes him a little while to get going. That just might happen. Again, the Edmonton, it was a great team win. There was some struggles towards the end, and they played strong. They played tough.
I mean,
You
they had
know,
struggles towards the end because Jeff Skinner was being Jeff Skinner.
right. It was a shit call against Seth. And also, if anybody hasn't seen the highlight of, Kaiser putting McDavid on his ass to where McDavid had to sit there and drag him on top of him, and McDavid got a penalty for it. That was one heck of a play. Kaiser played a really good game in Edmonton. So in Calgary, but he's starting to get me shifting towards him. So, but it was a great win. Just a phenomenal win, and you could tell the whole team was thrilled to get a road win early in the season. So, kudos to him.
Yeah, absolutely. Final game, Christy, you're going to take it, where we played Calgary because, as I said, very begrudgingly, I can't watch. I can only listen. And guys, I hate to admit it, but there was a baseball game on, and my team's still in the playoffs. And so that took priority over listening to a game on the radio in the beginning of the season that I can't watch because of stupid cable drama. So, Christy, how'd it go in Calgary?
It went pretty well. They got a little sloppy. They were a little sloppy with their passes in the ozone. Mrazek still played really well. And I'll start tagging this right now.
Mm-hmm.
For all your Seth Jones haters, I expect you to be calling for Luke's head then. Because Luke is playing him 26 minutes a game. So if you think he's dog shit, then you should hate this coach that is playing somebody who's dog shit so much. So start throwing some of that blame Luke's way too, okay? Because if you think he's really that pathetic, which he is not, then you need to start calling the coach out. Okay? Seth with another really good game. I've already had to deal with people saying, oh, blah, 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 blah. Again, I will state on this show, anytime this team loses, it's number four's fault. That's just the way it is. It's the way it's always going to be. Whatever. Seth with another great assist. The captain. I can't really call him the captain. That just doesn't work.
Like, I understand that he has the leadership position, and I definitely think with the current roster, he is that guy. I don't know if I'm going to be able to call anyone the captain for a while, and that's nothing against Foligno. It's just, it still hurts.
But Foligno with a great tip, he gets it. He understands that was a diagrammed play off of the face-off. Seth waited the extra second, was able to get it all the way through so it would get tipped. They played pretty strong defensively, a little helter-skelter in their own end, but not a lot. Still structurally pretty good. Some sloppy passing. And again, Bertuzzi is just not quite there because, well, he's in a top six role and he's not a top six player. But he's going to be a top six player on this team. He'll get it together. I'm already hearing calls, to bench him for a game. This team is gelling pretty well. I don't think it's quite the time yet to take one of your veterans that you expect to be playing in our top six and sit him. So,
speaking of benching, we've had disagreements on this before. But what are your thoughts of two particular players now being benched consistently, and that being your Nolan Allen and your Lucas Reichel?
Lucas has made his bed. He's made his bed. He had all year in Rockford to start to play a little bit of a different well, which would be cohesive to the NHL game, and it didn't happen. I saw the same Lucas player in Rockford that I saw up in the NHL and that I saw the year before in Rockford, cheating a little bit here, not completely interested to going in for one-on-one battles, be it the boards or just one-on-one on the ice. He needs to understand. Dylan Sikora comes to mind. Brandon Puri comes to mind. He is not skilled enough to get by just on skill in the NHL. He just isn't.
Then my question is, why don't they run the risk of sending him down and him getting picked up? I know part of it's a Katie's chicken, but I don't entirely understand because Lucas Reichel was not his pick. It was Stan's. But part of me is also like, give the kid a break. If you're not going to play him, let him go.
I'm not giving him any more breaks. Number one, he's an asset. Maybe not a huge one, but I guarantee there's 5 to 10 teams out there going, Oh, that kid who was drafted 17th, we can make something of him. He could
And
be
why
a.
are you doing that?
We're not going to, because if we play him, it'll just show the other teams that yeah, he's not going to. So he's going to sit unless there's injuries. But you don't get rid of an asset for nothing. KD's done that enough already.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to do it again. I have no. We've played this Lucas Reichel game for 2 years. He's had the time. He hasn't been able to develop it. I expect to see him when if he ever gets in the lineup, he better be playing like his hair's on fire, which I've never seen him play. You watch Paul Ludwinski, right, play in Rockford.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Lucas Reichel play anything close to that?
No, but I think they're entirely two different types of hockey players.
But he has to become that hockey player because he's not skilled enough to get by just on the skill. That's what I'm saying. And I also have a big problem with KD with the way that they've gone along with him, because that should have been corrected in Rockford last year. Put him down to the third line, whatever else. But you don't care if he wins you games. You needed certain aspects of his game that he had to start to play come to fruition down there, and it never happened. And they never pushed for it. That's the development part that I believe they completely skipped over. But if Lucas Reichel thinks he's going to make it in the NHL playing that way, all I can say is Dylan Sikora and the lesser Nylander. You're not going to. You're going to have to reinvent yourself. You're going to have to watch how Paul Ludwinski plays and go, I'm going to try to play like that and see what the hell happens. As far as the other guy you're talking about, I would assume that's Nolan Allen.
Yeah.
I I don't know about that situation yet. Number one, what does Nolan Allen want? Is he happy to be up here? Maybe not even playing, but getting NHL money. Maybe. Um, Again, has Kaiser shown anything that says Nolan Allen should be playing in front of him? I don't believe so. Does TJ Brody? Yes. I think it's way too early in the season to start telling TJ Brody, who you've got signed for 2 years, you're going to be sitting. It messes with your locker room dynamic, and I don't think it's worth it. It is something that will need to be addressed, because if you plan to just keep him, in the Oregon loft, a shout out to anybody who went to the old stadium, and not playing, yeah, for too long, that doesn't work. That's for sure. The good part is you have Alex Martinez, Murphy, and TJ Brody. I mean, are they all going to be healthy in another 20 games? History says no. So let's give that some time. I get your concern on Nolan Allen, though. Yes. You don't want him sitting too long. I'm sure he likes the NHL paycheck, but you don't want to just be sitting veterans this early yet.
Right. And I definitely agree with you on the Nolan Allen aspect. As much as I would like to sit certain veterans, I understand how it can be too early, not to mess up the locker room dynamic, because I'm a firm believer that they don't have a locker room dynamic. But I understand that. And you also want to throw the kid the bone of getting him the paycheck. But I also think, and this only pertains to it being the first couple of games, I feel like with the year last year and the training camps that Nolan Allen's gone through, Luke and Katie have a fair understanding of the player that Nolan Allen is and the type that he is. So I feel like he's not a prospect that needs to be on the ice consistently for you to see, oh, is he progressing from this and this and this? You know, also Nolan Allen had training camp. Wyatt Kaiser did not. So they might be just doing these first couple of games, the first couple of weeks to give them an opportunity to see Kaiser and how he's developed from last year to this year, because he missed out on development camp and training camp at the beginning of the season that Nolan Allen was able to go to. And who knows, they might switch. There might be an injury. I do think that it's only for, well, and I would hope that it's only for the beginning of the season. I think, if we really don't get an injury for a little bit, they would at least have him get sent down to at least give him the opportunity to have some ice time in Rockford. Maybe not even because he needs it, but just so he is consistently playing. Because you don't want to just keep him benched and he's not playing, because they care about Nolan. They don't care about Lucas.
Exactly, and no, I don't think they do. Even though they gave Lucas the A, I think they want him to have a leadership role, and that's probably has more to do with his whole tough guy image, which he's a pretty physical player. And again, I just think the way Kaiser's playing, he brings an aggressive style to defense that the team doesn't have a lot. Seth plays that way.
Yeah.
But that's about it. He's an attacker. I've heard people say, kind of like Duncan Keith was an attacker. Yes, but not nearly as fast. But the point is well taken that yes, he will go after people. He doesn't let people, where Nolan Allen is more of a stay at home, let the game come to me. So I think they want to just see how that works.
Yeah, because I think they've had more eyes on Nolan, at least recently or semi-recently, than they did on Kaiser. Nolan was able, because did he take his rookie lap at the beginning of this year, or was he able to be
called? Yes, beginning of this year.
Beginning of this year. Okay. But still, I think they've just had more eyes on Nolan Allen than they did Wyatt Kaiser recently. And I think they need more of an opportunity to see more of Kaiser's game than Nolan Allen. I mean, I think Allen has improved, but I think you still see the consistency of this is the type of player Nolan Allen is. This is the type of defenseman he's going to be. We know this.
Yeah, I think this is something we revisit in a couple weeks and see where everything's at right now. And who knows? Maybe Murphy plays the whole year. Murphy had one heck of a hit last night, and he walked away from it. So who knows? It was a great reverse hit. He lit this kid up, man. So basically, for the road trip, gosh, you would have liked to at least gotten a point in Calgary. Back with 4 points would have been really nice. But I like the way the team's playing. And as far as your point about the locker room, I beg to differ. I think the accountability is starting to creep in. And that's the thing. It's not so much a leadership core that does this, does that, is everybody looks at each other and goes, you need to pull your weight. And they're all like, yep, I need to. They're all pulling on the same rope, whatever cliche you want to use. It's at least starting.
That I will agree with. I think it's more than last year, but I don't think by any means that there is a solid dynamic in that locker room. You have a very, very mixed bag in terms of that roster. You have a superstar. You have a NHL defenseman that gets hate on by the whole city. And you have a lot of guys that know that they aren't going to be there within the next 3 to 5 years. So I think they definitely have more accountability this first week than they did most of last season, but I don't think that they have a solid dynamic, just because, I mean, it's all it's weird in there.
Right, but there doesn't need to be much. This is basically the average probably on this team is 10-year vets.
Yeah.
That's their average, even with Bedard and Kurashev there. I mean, the average age is probably 10-year vet. A 10-year vet doesn't need any rah-rah, doesn't need to be screamed. They know what they're supposed to do. They know when they're not doing it.
Right.
So that's the accountability I'm talking about. There doesn't need to be a complete leadership head because these are all seasoned veterans that have played in some big hockey games in lesser roles. So they know what they're there to do. So again, it was such a shit show last year.
Yes, it was.
That this is very refreshing for me.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take this. I'm going to run. I said I was going to be this. Yeah, everything's going to be great kind of guy. And at least I'm seeing that it's not going to be the dog shit that it was.
No, it's definitely not going to be the dog shit. I think the fact that we got a win in our first week or second week means it's not going to be as complete dog shit. And as long as we're not setting records for away losses, I will be a happy camper.
And again, we'll find out. We got the next four at home.
Yeah.
Uh, Teams sometimes play differently when they're at home. And this team needs to understand that they got to play the exact same way at home that they played on the road these first four games. And you've got a Shark team coming in that you should beat. So then you need to start doing some throttling on people.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
got any final thoughts?
no final thought. Really looking forward to tomorrow. I love the home opener. I like doing laps around the UC, going down for warm ups and just smelling the ice for the first time. It is crusty old guy's happy place. I'll be smiling all evening unless they completely lay an egg, but I'm really looking forward to it. There's something about the home opener that just anything's possible.
That is true.
That's all
You
I got.
could beat the Pittsburgh Penguins 10-1.
Yes.
All right, then. Just as a reminder, make sure to hit that like and subscribe on either Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube. Tell your friends, leave us a review. Let us know how you like that we're up to 2 episodes a week. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Either way, let us know. If you have any questions, comments, you can find us on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. You can email us at thehockeyprincess@gmail.com. Yes, Krusty?
And also, I'd like to know if everybody likes Krusty's new
The
microphone.
new microphone?
Yes.
All right.
That's it.
Is all, and we will talk at you guys next week.